Welcome to today's Monday Marketing Tea. I am your host, and at least I played the minute of ads, so we shouldn't have any ads. I do like being able to do that on Twitch with a short stream. It makes it work out pretty nice. Today is November 3rd, where I live, and stuff's happening. Stuff is always happening. What's been happening this week? Um, so this is a thought I've been having in a lot of recent conversations. AI conversations can sometimes feel a little like an elephant in the room. Some people really like AI, some people really don't like AI. Um, People don't really know how to define it, people don't really know about it at all. And that can make for really awkward conversations where nobody really wants to talk about what they think about AI really, because it's just kind of like the new thing and you let it go. It's becoming like religion and politics and AI. Like, you just don't really talk about um, it except in kind of a general positive, isn't that interesting kind of way. And anytime I make something of a counterpoint of moral issues or dissent, generally speaking, um, that can lead to some kind of counterpoint of, well, I only use it to do X, Y, or Z, or, oh, I would never use it to do that. I just have it rewrite some things, or I just have it, take something I've already done and break it up for me, and blah, blah, blah. People feel the need to kind of confess their AI usage and what they. Why is my mic just so crazy? Is that better or worse yeah, I don't even know. Anyway, um, just forge ahead. Just watching the red on my mic and it makes me sad. Okay, I am forging ahead though. I'm like a third of the way through, and I have a cat on my lap. So that's interesting too. People have some sort of like AI guilt when they meet someone who isn't drinking the Kool-Aid. Um, they're very sensitive about it. So what do you do? You become hi, hi, Spock. Anyway, so in those conversations, I've realized it is a new horizon, as it were, for apologetics. Not in terms of actual Christian apologetics, but the same kinds of rules of good apologetics apply to AI discussions. People don't like being told to their face that they're wrong or they're bad or they should feel bad, uh, which is, unfortunately the way some Christians operate when talking to other um, religions and other denominations. Uh, in the same way, if you're trying to help someone understand some of the cons to AI, you kind of have to soften the blow a little bit, um, while still being, honest about, have you considered the power usage? Have you considered the privacy issues? Anyway, that was a good kind of realization for me in all these conversations that I've been having, that as much as I just want to come out as vitriolic anti-AI, that isn't a good way to actually have conversations with people who are using it regularly. You don't tell people to their faces, you tell it to their feet. I feel like you're a tall guy, so that would be hard. So they should appreciate the extra effort that you go to. Going kind of along with that, um, is some discussion on AI affecting the relationship between coworkers. Um, I think a couple weeks ago I shared some statistics about, like antisocial AI and people sometimes preferring to go to AI instead of coworkers for things, which is not necessarily bad. You know, I would sometimes rather Google for an answer than ask someone, just depending on the situation. This particular statistic, though, relates specifically to inter-office email. So writing an email from one person in the office to another. And so 80% of people use some AI for inter-office email. 20% say they never do it. 3% say they always, so like continually. Um, so it's not, that bad. But, that means most everyone uses it a couple times a month, at least, to help them write emails to their coworkers. And I get it and I don't get it. Um, Now, maybe that just means the auto responses. If you use Gmail at least, I know sometimes when you do reply, they have those quick notes at the bottom that you can click on instead of typing out. And I have definitely done that a couple times. Um, Not very often, but usually like if it's a okay, and that's literally all I'm going to type, it's like, well, I could just click and send it. Um, I probably shouldn't do that because that's probably training Gmail, but fewer clicks did seem pretty tempting. Uh, but the cases that concern me a little bit more um, are when there's like an actual meaty reply. Uh, Specifically, examples of people who have written something and ask AI to make it sound different, generally sound more polite or nicer because they know it's a difficult conversation that they're trying to have. Um, I don't like that because you're injecting a computer into what should be a very personal conversation. If you are having a difficult conversation with someone and you're worried about sounding too mean, that sounds like it's a you problem, right? Like, if your coworker is really annoying you and you need to express that, then you need to express that. Um, and maybe that means you need to have the conversation in person instead of by email. Um, but, you know, granted, I'm the kind of person who, like, when I know I have to have a difficult conversation, like, or I have to own up to a mistake or something, like, I would much rather call a person because, like, I know it sucks, but I think taking that step of personal responsibility is is a good thing for a human being to do because it shows that you care someone, it shows that you are being responsible for the situation. Um, and having AI do it for me, even if it's, just helping me sound nicer. Um, Again, if you're having trouble sounding nice, then there's probably a deeper issue that you need to work on. And a computer can't help you with that. Anyway, show me your words, typos, and all, and I'll figure it out. I do not want to have to comprehend you past an AI filter, especially not given hallucinations in your citations. Yeah, right? There's all sorts of issues with it. Like, if I am trying to build a work relationship with this person, and there's, like you said, this AI filter between us, and then if I were to meet you in person and you're totally different, um, I don't know, you're not working at building that relationship. Hopefully in those cases, they are still reading through it and proofreading and making it personal. Um, but I don't know that, obviously. Um, and people do make so many mistakes already in AI. It's just it's just an AI filter. It's an opportunity for more issues, not fewer issues. I remember talking to another gentleman in a chamber who was complaining about, I think it was, I don't remember where in the company hierarchy it was, um, but some superior to him. Um, and he was just very vocal in his dislike because the superior was using AI to answer emails. And, this guy was just like, nope, this is not okay. You are so lazy that you can't take the time to answer my email. Like, no, a lot of disrespect. Again, there are different, using AI to write an email doesn't mean necessarily wholesale, um, like telling AI what to do and, just copying and pasting the response. There's a lot of variation in what that means. Um, but as always, it is so, so, so easy to be lazy. So once you kind of start leaning on AI to just do this for me or just do this for me, um, it's going to get easier and easier to say, oh, it's probably fine, copy and paste it. Okay. Someone posted a proposal to update Unicode handling for German Sharp S. Okay. Um, and in it said that Java 9 plus, ICU, and recent versions of Swift do things the way they described. Guess what? That was a complete hallucination. Good times. Yeah, and I don't know enough. Like, to me, ICU means an intensive care unit, and Swift is Taylor Swift. So I'm like, I really don't think Taylor Swift and the intensive care unit do anything having to do with Unicode asset. But uh, yeah, part of me really hopes that, so my cat's name is Spock. I would love, not actually, but kind of, love to get popular enough and like AI trained well enough that it confuses Star Trek Spock and my cat. Um, and, just gives really weird responses to things because of, you know, Vulcans, you know, sitting in people's laps during presentations or stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think Taylor Swift has any songs written with that, but I don't feel like checking. Not a pop music person. She might, you never know. There might be a German word somewhere in there, but yeah, I am not a Swiftie either. Um, I know a few titles of songs, and we did my Play-Doh class. Um, Someone on the internet had written like a Platonic Socratic dialogue with Taylor Swift lyrics. Um, that was, very amusing. Even without a ton of context, it was just kind of funny. And so I made my students, for their composition part of it, translate that into uh, Attic Greek. And that was very entertaining. That was a fun project. I think everyone kind of loved and hated it. Um, but, they had to translate something into Greek, so it might as well have been something silly. All right. And my last item, Attic Greek, not to be confused with Basement Greek, which is at the other end of the country. Although it's like confusing because Attic Greek is like, because there's Attica and then there's the Peloponnese. I guess I have to kind of do it this way. Attica and the Peloponnese where Sparta is. And then there's northern Greece and then there's like the Greece Magna Graeca, which is like Turkey and the islands and then over in Sicily. So I don't really know where Basement Greek would be in this layout, but I like it in theory. Right. And then there's the grease that you fry your turkey in. That's what they told Xerxes. Right. Uh, anyway, so that's kind of AI news and thoughts on that end. That people, I think people have come, unfortunately, to value writing and speaking and expression so little that they're comfortable letting AI speak for them, and that's sad. There's my summary of what's going on. All right. But for the third part, last week I did a training about, just visibility in ChatGPT and other um, AI answer engines. There we go. That's what they call themselves or whatever. And so I would be remiss. It would be remiss for me not to um, share some insights from that training. So I'm going to hide chat real quick so we can see this. So kind of what is the difference in appearing in search engines like Google versus AI like ChatGPT answers? So probably not too terribly surprising that AI pays the most attention to off-page. Um, so authority, what the internet says about you, while Google pays more attention to topical relevance. Uh, Makes perfect sense. AI was trained on the internet, and it looks at that broad language sample um, in order to come up with its responses. So what the wider internet says about you being a business or a creator, is very important. So your authority being cited in other places, um, being popular in other sites, that really matters to AI. Google, um, are you relevant to the topic? Um, do you have a lot of content about the topic? So they're both important. They'll both help. Um, but for people that want to start showing up specifically in AI more, um, off page is where you should probably be focusing. And I think long term, that's where we're going to be going. Um, so for small businesses that are starting out, I would definitely recommend um, start with technical, make sure your website is set up well. Um, it's got all the basic information. It looks good. And then focus on and off page content. So being visible, being talked about. That's what I would recommend. So I apologize for my audio, I guess, but whatever, we made it. We're here. Eventually, I will have a better microphone and all is well. It'll be fine. You guys will survive. Um, so until next week, everybody take care and I'll see you later.